Hi, my name is Jake and Shaw, and welcome to Swordplay and Sorcery. Today, we're going to be painting Strahd Von Zarovich. So I'm currently running the Curse of Strahd campaign for my players, in addition to two other campaigns I already do. So Curse of Strahd kind of takes the once a month seat compared to the other ones, but it's a campaign where I've been wanting to go a little extra with, as far as like building the atmosphere for the players at the table and just the 3D elements that sit on the table that they get to experience and see. So I printed off, I have a 3D printer, I printed off a Strahd mini off of Hero Forge. If you don't have a 3D printer and you're wanting to do this, you can also design your own version of Strahd on Hero Forge. You can buy it on there, or I hear some libraries now have like 3D printers there too, so maybe look into that as well. We're gonna try to paint him, and we're gonna hope it turns out good. I am by no means a professional at this. Yeah, let's get started. So I already have my colors, my paints picked out. And for those who are curious of what kind of paints I'm using these D&D, like official D&D, like starter kind of sets, like Nulzur's Marvelous Pigments monster set, the Adventure paint set, and as well as the Undead paint set. I believe they're officially from Army Painter. Yes, they're officially from Army Painter. So the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna expect my mini, and I'm gonna take an X-Acto knife, and basically what I'm looking for are any imperfections I wanna get rid of before we start painting. So what you wanna do is you just wanna carefully just examine the mini. So we got a little bit on the leg right here that I'm wanting to hopefully get rid of. Maybe touch up a little bit on the skirt line right there, back of the leg, right there. A little more on the skirt, his cloak skirt line thing. Yeah, that should be it. So we're just taking the X-Acto knife, and what we're doing is just we're gonna kind of scrape those little imperfections away. Do make sure that you are being careful with your X-Acto knife. You know, never cut towards you. Remember, always safety first. So now that we've done that, I'm going to be taking one of my brushes and just make sure all little specks that I might have scraped up are just off the mini. Just kind of boop, boop, boop. Just take like a little small little brush, just kind of brush them over on spots, make sure all those little pieces fall out. So the next thing that I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be giving the whole mini just a once over with one color. So I'm going to be priming it, and that's going to be with the D&D gray primer. Make sure you shake your paint bottle really well, because you don't want any air bubbles in there. And then one thing you can do to get a finer tip with your brushes is taking the palm of your hand and going with the curvature of some of these lines. So you're just gonna run the brush in, kind of twirl it. Boom, then you start getting a fine tip. A little tip, if you are designing your own mini using a website like Hero Forge, or another one like I believe it's called Eldritch Foundry, something like that. Keep in mind how your little miniature is posed, because if you are going to be the one painting it, you can save yourself a headache by positioning him in a way that is in your favor as far as painting goes. Yeah, so there we go. All right, so now that he's painted and he's getting ready to dry, the next thing that I'm gonna be wanting to do is figuring out what it is I'm gonna be painting next. So what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna be painting the cape a bluish color with some salt and pepper kind of fur on the top. A lot of his metal silver, with the exception of some gold accents on his little tunic skirt thing piece. That's gonna be more maroon color. And then for the pants, we're gonna be doing some brown with some brown leather boots and some brown leather guards on his wrist. And then for his cup, I'll probably make it like a gold chalice or something. We could try to do something where we make the cup look like it's see-through, but I'm not very good at that, and I haven't really tried that yet. So let's start with the cape. So for the cape, I'm gonna be using a little bit of some ethereal blue. So yeah, what we're gonna do is make sure that we're shaking it, get all the air bubbles out. I'm gonna be dipping a wet paintbrush over it to get a little bit of water in there, because I think I'm going to layer this cape blue. So basically, the idea of layering, you water down some paint, and the more layers you add, the recessed areas of the miniature get darker and darker. So yeah, this is gonna take a couple of layers to do, but you know what? I'm a-okay with that. I think I might have added a tad too much water. From what I read and watched a few other people do, it's supposed to kind of be something where it kind of just dries up almost instantly when it's applied. Yeah, and you can see that I'm getting it a little bit on his tunic piece right over there. But like I said, that's okay. We're not going to stress about that because we are able to go over that later. So the first thing that I'm going to be doing with his face is I'm going to be base coating his face with some ethereal specter, and then once that's dry, very lightly over it, and pretty much watered down as well, I'm going to be doing some cold flesh to give him more of a cold face with some purple undertones. Depending how light this dries, we might not even need a whole lot of that cold flesh later. So while we're still using this color paint, we're also going to take little pieces of it and we're also going to apply it to his hands. Okay, now if you wanted to, you could stop here and just start doing some of the main facial features like the brows, the nose, the cheeks, the chin, and call it a day. But I want to go over it a little bit with that white, the cold flesh paint. And finally, I'm gonna try to give him a little bit of color in his lips. So I'm gonna use some vampire garments. I think that's fitting. Anyways, I'm gonna get some on my brush, and then we're just gonna try to aim for his lips. Look at that. Hey-oh. Cape is looking a little better. I still think I want the raised parts to be even lighter. So I'm gonna use my lighter blue, and the goal is to get here something pretty light. Now let's move on to his tunic. I'm glad this is the first video on the channel and that we can get a feel for everything and slowly improve. All right, so traditionally Strahd wears a maroon little tunic with some blue accents. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna paint the main part a dark red color, And then all of the trim, so things like that, going up the middle here, right there, those are gonna be a dark blue color. So for the red, I'm gonna be using some cobalt red, and we're just gonna go darker, and then eventually we'll just go lighter. So change of plans. We're not gonna be using the cobalt color because that's a nightmare. So we're gonna go back to Vampire Garments and hopefully give us a little bit of peace of mind. His purple skin tone kind of reminds me a little bit of Mollymock right now. For all my fellow Critical Role fans. So we've covered his tunic with the red. It's looking pretty all right. I can't wait for the rest of the colors to come in and tie it all together. Now that we've touched that up, we should be good to do our blue trim now. We're going to use that dark blue under dark indigo. Okay, all right. So next up, what we're gonna be doing is we're gonna do the belt. I'm gonna try my best to save all the metallic stuff for last. So we're gonna use a little bit of Abyssal Black mixed with some Owlbear Brown. All right, so now we've roughly got that. Let's go ahead and start with our fur now. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some cold flesh on it. And then once we do the shadow wash later, we'll start making it look more fur-like, I should say. All right, so now I think I'm ready to start with the metal stuff. So the first thing we're gonna do is I'm gonna add the gold accents since there's few of them. So I'm gonna be using some Corinne gold, I guess that's how you say it. Gotta be careful with metallic paints from personal experience because they look good, but often you have to go over them twice because they miss spots because of the metallic flakes in them. And next up, I've got two different kinds of silvers that I'll be using. So one of them is Mithril Silver, and the other one is Silver Dragon. So I'm gonna use the darker one for inside of his plate, and then the lighter one for the outside. It's only 12:58. You know, I scheduled my day to be filming this until 3. It's been staring me in the face this whole time, but somehow I deeply overlooked it. His hair. Strahd needs hair. Let's go ahead and get his hair going. Yeah. About to fade my man up real good. Oh yeah, he's got eyebrows too. We haven't even done the eyebrows. What am I doing? What am I doing? One of the great things about painting this mini that I can find some relief in is even if it doesn't look exactly like Strahd, that's okay, because the module encourages you to make Strahd your own. Like, there are the general guidelines that you can follow by, but the big thing about what's making that module so much fun is that they're really big on making sure you as the DM make Strahd your own. Make him stand out. Don't try to make him how other people make him or perceive him how other people like. Just have fun with it. It's time for the eyes. Whew, whew. If this part isn't, look at all that pain on my arm. Ah! Okay, take a dabble, like less than that. And you just gotta put it in that little eye socket right there. Oof. That's rough. It's frustrating, but it's like I said earlier, you can't get too beat up about it because in the end, you can just repaint it. So yeah, this is him so far. So what we're gonna be doing now is we're gonna be applying a shade to him. We're gonna be using a Citadel color, Nuln Oil. So first impressions using that, it's pretty cool. I think it really worked well for the fur. Yeah, I just think it looks great. I think it's working great for the cape. We'll see when it dries. Kind of made his eyes a little extra wonky. But yeah, once this is taken, it's time to dry. The next step is gonna be doing some dry brushing that I need to, and just little touch-ups here and there if there are any. And then we'll paint the base. All right, so now that we have Strahd, all that's left to do is just to paint his base, and then we are done with Strahd. And there you have it, our Strahd Von Zarovich miniature. And I think he turned out pretty okay. We did it. Awesome. Thank you guys so much for watching. This was so much fun to do, and I'll see you in the next video. Adios.